Good morning, everyone, and a good Shabbos. You know the story about this couple that went to a marriage therapist, and the wife says to the therapist, "You know, my husband, he never tells me I love you." So the therapist says to the husband, "Is it true you never tell your wife I love you?" He says, "Look, when I married her 30 years ago, I told her I love you. If anything changes, I'll let her know." We all understand that you can't just rely on what you did 30 years ago. You have to constantly express gratitude and thanks to people. Matter of fact, one of the first things we learn as children is how to say thank you. Our mothers taught us right away, when someone gave you something, say thank you. Thank you is two of the most important words we human beings need to learn, and sometimes two of the most difficult actual words for people to say. This week's parsha begins with the mitzvah of thank you. What's the mitzvah of thank you? The Torah says that the farmer every year, when he would have his new harvest, he would bring a bushel of fruit, a basket, and present it to the Kohen and say thank you to God for his bountiful blessings. But there are three important lessons I think we could all learn, that we could all implement today in the way we say thank you, that we could learn from the farmer who brings his bikurim. The first thing is sometimes like a fiddle on the roof, when he says to his wife, "Do you love me?" She says, "What do you mean do I love you? I washed your clothes, I cooked you dinner." Sometimes people think, you see what I do for you. My actions speak louder than words. And that's true. Actions do speak louder than words. But the farmer didn't just come and present the first fruit. It's not enough to do deeds. You have to actually verbalize your gratitude and your thankfulness. So the farmer couldn't do one or the other. He couldn't just come and say thank you. He needed action, a bushel of fruit, a basket of fruit. He couldn't just do actions. He needed words. But here's where it gets really interesting, because many times people say thank you very much, but they don't get very specific, right? Jacob came to Egypt, and then the Egyptians persecuted us, and then we cried out to you, God, the land of Israel, and now you gave us this beautiful land, and as a result of that, I was able to have my first harvest, and therefore I thank you, God. You see how many details he elaborates on in order to get to the thank you? It's easy to say thank you, but it takes a little more time, a little more effort to let the person know exactly what you're grateful for, and to be specific for it, and to be grateful in a specific and in a personal way. I told this story before, but I love it. I'm going to repeat it again. Sarah and Yossi Jorkin just spent like 6 weeks in the hospital. You should never know from such things, but when you spend a lot of time, like 6 weeks in the hospital, the nurses, the doctors, they're like your family already. You sleep there, you eat. He had a son who he and his wife gave birth to a baby, and the baby wasn't well. And the baby had to stay for like 2 months in the hospital. Finally, the good news came. The baby's good enough to go home, strong enough, healthy. So he went and told his father, Yaakov Kamenetsky, who was a great sage, the good news that we're going home, we're taking home the baby after 2 months. And he said, I'm thinking, what should I buy the nurses and the doctors? I want to express my gratitude, what they've done for us. They've literally nursed our baby back to health. Flowers, chocolates, gift cards, presents. How do we say thank you to people who have been a part of our family, saving our baby for the past 2 months? Rabbi Kamenetsky said to his son, whatever you do will be good. Flowers, chocolate, doesn't matter what you do. But I have a better idea, he said. He said, every year, when the baby has his birthday, bring the child back to the hospital. Bring him back to the ward where the doctors and the nurses work, and say, this baby who was born with all these complications, who you nursed back at, he's 1 year old now, let's celebrate his first. And then when he's 2, and then when he's 3, and then when he's 4. So every year they could see the baby, the boy now growing up healthy and strong, and they could get the nachas and see what their hard work achieved and how they could watch the child grow. When you think about it, it's such a deep idea that gratitude is not just a one-time thing, it has to be an ongoing thing. And people want to see the story. It's like the farmer. He tells a whole story. He doesn't just say thank you for the moment. He says thank you for the whole sequence of events that led to this. The same thing is when this child is, and that's what Rabbi Soloveitchik's son did. Every year he brings his son back to the hospital. Say, look, all the chapters of this boy's life is thanks to what you did. Because sometimes you don't even see the outcome and the result of what you've done. You may have done one deed, but that deed may have had many responses, many positive consequences, and to be able to say thank you for all the positive consequences and good results that came from your good deed, and to show the person what they achieved and what they accomplished and what they did for you, that's the full extent of gratitude. And when we live with this kind of a mindset, and we express this kind of gratitude, then we live happy lives. As the Torah says, then you'll rejoice in all the good you have, because you'll realize how many blessings you actually have. I saw a beautiful quote yesterday. It said, the mind is a garden, and every thought is a seed. You can either plant flowers or you can plant weeds. It's our choice.